My brother's final wish was to take my fiancé, so I ended him on his wedding day. My adopted brother thought our family's favoritism gave him the right to marry her instead of me. When morality went out the window for them, it went out for me too. I pretended to go along with their plan, all while secretly getting close to my soon-to-be sister-in-law. On their wedding day, I played a video of us kissing for everyone to see. I also made sure everyone knew the baby she was carrying was mine. My brother, already frail and intensely jealous, coughed up blood right there at the altar. He was dead before the ambulance even reached the hospital. I just returned from 4 years at Stanford when my parents and grandparents dropped a bombshell, completely shattering my world. They planned for my adopted brother, Ryan, to take my place in the arranged marriage with the Russo family. The reason? A car accident years ago had left Ryan with catastrophic organ failure. Doctors gave him less than a year to live, and marrying my fiancée, Sophia Russo, was his dying wish. My family, who always adored Ryan, decided to make his final dream come true. But it didn't end there. They also planned for Sophia to get pregnant via IVF with Ryan's child. After he died, I was expected to raise the kid. It took a full 5 minutes to process the information and confirm it was real. I was in shock. I was supposed to just hand over my fiancé and raise his baby, simply because Ryan was dying? What kind of twisted logic was this? As the initial shock subsided, my shattered reality began to reassemble. Reflecting on my family's blatant history of favoritism, I could almost believe they'd concoct such an outrageous scheme. Years earlier, after Ryan's car accident left him paralyzed, he couldn't stand the sight of me. My loving parents then shipped me off to college on the West Coast, enforcing a strict no-visits home policy. I hadn't stepped foot in that house for 4 years. This, I realized, was my welcome home present. It had always been this way. Growing up, my parents and grandparents showered Ryan with affection. His allowance was always double or triple mine, a psychological comfort, they called it, to ensure he never felt like an outsider. If we both desired the same thing and there was only one, I was invariably the one who had to relinquish it. At parent-teacher conferences, both parents attended for Ryan, leaving me to fend for myself. Their obsession was so extreme that teachers and classmates genuinely believed I was the adopted one. And with their explicit blessing, Ryan bullied me relentlessly throughout my school years. Then it seemed karma finally intervened. A few years back, Ryan crashed while drag racing with some rich friends. The accident left him paraplegic and caused the organ failure that was now slowly killing him. Doctors confirmed modern medicine couldn't save him. He wouldn't last another year. I foolishly thought my ordeal was finally ending. I imagined the bullying would cease, and my family's affection might finally return to me. But I should have known better. Even on his deathbed, Ryan couldn't resist one last cruel twist. He wasn't just stealing my fiancé. He wanted me to raise his child, his lasting legacy. Ethan, my mother stated, her tone brooking no argument, this is how it will be. Ryan will marry the Russo girl in your stead. She continued, we've already spoken to the Russos and they've agreed. They're also on board with the IVF. The baby will be your brother's, so it's only fitting you raise it. My grandmother interjected, her voice soft yet firm. Ethan dear, this child will be a memory of your brother for all of us. It will be as if it were your own. You must promise to love and cherish it. Was she kidding me? They were already dictating the child's future before anything had even transpired. A cold laugh echoed in my mind. My father, noting my stony silence, scowled. Why the long face? He demanded. The doctor said your brother won't make it past next year. What's the big deal about him marrying the Russo girl? His voice hardened. It's IVF. Your brother won't even touch her. She'll still be your wife eventually. The woman, the billion-dollar Clark Holdings. It will all be yours someday. What more could you possibly want? This is your brother's one and only dying wish. If you have any decency, you will help him fulfill it. The entire family stood united. I was expected to sacrifice my fiancé to fulfill my dying brother's twisted fantasy. My poor Ryan, my mother sobbed, tears streaming down her face. He's only 24. When I think about him being gone next year, I don't think I can go on living. It wasn't just her. My father and grandparents' eyes glistened with tears. The whole family, save for me and the absent Ryan, was drowning in a sea of grief. All I could think about was how to send every single one of them to hell. To hell with them all. I'd endured this treatment for far too long. They'd helped Ryan torment me throughout my entire childhood. And now, even with him on death's doorstep, they were still pulling the same manipulative stunts. Did they truly believe I was such a pushover? As far as I was concerned, these people were not my family. If they all dropped dead tomorrow, I'd find a quiet spot to light some fireworks and celebrate. Dad, Mom, Grandma, Grandpa. A voice called from the doorway. Sophia and I are back. It was Ryan in his motorized wheelchair, propelled by a stunningly beautiful woman. He flashed his parents and grandparents a smile that, on the surface, appeared purely innocent. But beneath it, I knew lay the venomous heart of a deeply jealous man. My gaze flickered from Ryan to the woman behind him. She had cascading dark hair and a face so gorgeous it could launch 1,000 ships. Sophia, Ryan had called her. My fiancée from the Russo family was named Sophia Russo. Though we'd never met, I knew this had to be her. So much for today. You've been so kind taking Ryan out. It was my pleasure, Sophia replied with a polite wave. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to explore much myself. I had a wonderful time with Ryan. It seems Sophia and Ryan had already spent time together, perhaps even developing feelings. But I didn't buy it. Sophia Russo was heiress to a fortune, a knockout by any standard. A woman like her falling for a paralyzed, average-looking man who would be dead in a year? Not unless she was completely out of her mind. I looked at Sophia. Our eyes met. For a split second, I saw her eyebrows arch slightly before she quickly and smoothly looked away. Ethan, is that really you? You're finally back. Ryan exclaimed, feigning surprise at my presence. He radiated warmth and smiles, then turned to introduce us. Sophia, this is my younger brother, Ethan. Ethan, this is Sophia. She's going to be your sister-in-law. Ryan seldom smiled at me, but now he was beaming like a man deeply in love. My father cleared his throat, giving me a stern look, clearly worried I'd make a scene in front of Sophia, who was meant to be my fiancée. But in that instant our eyes connected. A brilliant, explosive idea for revenge ignited in my mind. Yes, I would destroy Ryan. And not just him, but this entire family of sycophants. They'd gotten away with treating me like dirt as a child because I was powerless. But I was an adult now. If they thought they could still control me, they were gravely mistaken. It's nice to meet you, sister-in-law, I stammered after a beat, as if snapping out of a daze. A slow smile spread across my face. She wasn't even married into the family yet, and I was already calling her sister-in-law. Ryan's grin widened uncontrollably. Sophia merely smiled shyly and said nothing, seemingly accepting her new role. Witnessing my apparent compliance, the rest of the family visibly relaxed. Sophia stayed for dinner that evening. At one point, she excused herself to use the restroom. When she emerged, I was waiting and I cornered her back inside. Alone in the bathroom, I clicked the lock on the door. Sophia's beautiful eyes fixed on me, trying to decipher my intentions. What? What do you want? She asked, her voice steady despite sounding nervous. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I just want to talk, I replied with a smile. She glanced around the bathroom, a smirk playing on her lips, her expression saying, Seriously, you want to talk in here? I knew exactly what she was thinking. I closed the distance between us until we were almost touching. Don't, she murmured, pushing against my chest with hardly any force. When she realized I wasn't moving, she gave up. Our breaths mingled. A faint blush crept up her cheeks. I leaned in, inhaling her delicate floral scent. Sister-in-law, I whispered, a wicked smile on my face. Are you happy with my brother? Sophia's eyes darted away for a moment before meeting mine. What are you trying to say? Her response told me everything. She was smart. This wasn't a woman oblivious to what was happening. Just like that, I knew I'd found the perfect accomplice for the chaos I was about to unleash. Let's stop playing games, I said. You know Ryan is my family's adopted son, and you were supposed to marry me. I know, she nodded softly. And you know his organs are failing, that he won't live past next year, right? Yes, I know, she replied, her tone flat. And you're still going to marry him? I pressed, my eyes narrowing with suspicion. Sophia paused, biting her lip. Yes, I'm still going to marry him. There was a secret in her eyes, something she was holding back. I realized then that she knew everything, yet was still willing to marry a dying, paralyzed man. There had to be a powerful reason. They also said they want you to have his child through IVF. Before I could finish, she cut me off. I know about that too. And they said that after your brother dies, you and I will get married, and the child will legally become yours. You'll be his father. She knew everything. I gripped her arms. This makes no sense. If you know all this, why agree to marry him? What did they offer you? To make a woman of her standing willingly marry a broken man, the price had to be astronomical. Under my intense gaze, Sophia finally broke. You'd find out eventually anyway, so I might as well tell you now. Your family promised me $500 million in Clark Holdings stock if I marry Ryan and have his child through IVF. And there it was. It all made sense. No wonder Sophia was willing to endure such humiliation. For a $500 million stake in the company, she'd play along. It only underscored how pathologically biased my family was, willing to give away a huge chunk of their fortune to buy off the Russo heiress and preserve a piece of Ryan. Knock knock. A knock on the door made us both jump. It was Ryan. Sophia, are you in there? Sophia shot me a panicked look before answering. Yes, I'm here. What's taking so long? He asked. My stomach's a little upset, she improvised. The last thing we needed was for Ryan to find us together. But just as she finished, I leaned in and kissed her. The soft touch of our lips widened her eyes in shock. While she was still stunned, I kissed her again, a mischievous grin on my face. Her cheeks flushed deep red. She shot me a furious glare but dared not make a sound. Her silence only emboldened me. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her tight, and kissed her again, deeper this time. I wasn't just stealing a moment. I was reclaiming what was mine. Afraid of causing a scene, she didn't resist forcefully. At first, her lips remained sealed, but slowly, as if her own instincts took over, she began to respond, hesitantly at first, then with a will of her own. What we were doing wasn't truly wrong. She was meant to be my fiancée, and by my family's twisted script. She greeted my family warmly, then guided Ryan's wheelchair toward them. Mr. Clark, I brought Ryan home, she said. My father nodded, smiling graciously. Sophia, thank you. She was destined to be my wife anyway. So what was the harm in a little kiss? Sophia must have reached the same conclusion because she let herself go, melting into the moment. We were lost in each other. Outside, Ryan still muttered, upset stomach, but she was fine just a minute ago. After what felt like an eternity, I reluctantly pulled away. You bastard! Sophia hissed, regaining her composure. How could you do that to me? She furiously wiped her mouth. Do what to you? I teased, a smirk on my face. She grunted, prying my wandering hands off her. I've been in here too long. I'll leave first. You wait a few minutes before coming out. She squeezed past me, fixing her clothes in the mirror. I stepped up behind her. Sophia, think about this, I said, my voice serious. Ryan is a dead man walking. Is having his baby really worth it? She glanced at me in the mirror. They're giving me $500 million for one baby. You tell me if it's worth it. She had me there and I was speechless. For that kind of money, any woman would likely say yes. But I won't accept that child, I said, my voice low and dangerous. My fiancé having another man's baby, and I'm supposed to raise it? What do you take me for? If you have that baby, you become my enemy. And don't forget, I'm the real heir to the Clark fortune. I let the threat hang in the air. That got her attention. She turned to face me, a flicker of resentment in her eyes. What choice do I have? You're the heir, but your family didn't ask me to have her baby, did they? Was she blaming me for being powerless? It didn't matter. My plan was already halfway there. There's a way we can both win, I said, pulling out my phone. I moved behind her again, wrapping my arms around her in a protective embrace, and whispered in her ear, if you're interested, let's exchange numbers. We can meet tomorrow and talk. Sophia added me as a contact. She was hooked. The next day, before leaving the house, I encountered Ryan in the upstairs hallway. With no one else present, he dropped his act. Well, little brother, he sneered. Looks like you finally learned your place. You're not going to fight me for anything anymore. His mind was utterly warped. Ever since the accident, his entire existence revolved around tormenting me. I remained silent, mentally calculating the optimal way to destroy him. I know what you're thinking, he continued. You believe that once I'm dead, everything will revert to you. The company, Sophia, all of it. But I have some bad news. Before I go, Sophia's going to give me a child. A child who will take my place, who will continue to be spoiled and loved by this family. The smug look on his face as he lorded his family's favoritism over me was nauseating. I stayed quiet, saving it all for the main event. He wanted to leave a child behind? Fine. I would ensure that child became the biggest, most devastating surprise of his short life. After breakfast, I called Sophia and arranged a meeting at one of her family's private villas in Westchester, secluded and perfect for a secret conversation. The moment I walked in, I pulled her into my arms and onto my lap, picking up exactly where we'd left off in the bathroom. When we finally came up for air, she pouted. Is this why you wanted to meet? Just to do this? What else? I chuckled. Disappointment clouded her face. And here I thought you were a serious partner. But your mind is only on one thing. She sounded let down, yet she didn't get up. In fact, she seemed to deflate, melting into me. Actually, I said softly, we're already putting my plan into action. That got her attention. She sat up straight. We are? What do you mean? Explain. I smiled. My dear adopted brother just wants a child, and I don't want to raise his. The solution is simple. We substitute his baby with ours. We don't tell a soul. He dies thinking the baby is his. Problem solved. I spread my hands as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Substitute his baby with ours, Sophia repeated, processing. Then her eyes lit up. Oh, I get it. A mischievous smile spread across her face, and she playfully punched my chest. I knew you had a devious mind last night, but I have to say I like it. She wrapped her arms around my neck, completely at ease with our newfound intimacy. Devious maybe, but I didn't see myself as the villain. Swapping out his kid wasn't a saintly act, but no one who hadn't walked a mile in my shoes had the right to judge me. Anyone who had spent over 20 years living in their adopted brother's shadow, forced to give up their own fiancée, would likely be even more ruthless. They say you reap what you sow. My kindness is for kind people. My cruelty is reserved for those with evil in their hearts. And this was the karma Ryan so richly deserved. Come on, I said, sweeping her into my arms and heading for the bedroom. Let's discuss the implementation details. For the plan to work, we needed her pregnant as soon as possible, while also faking an IVF procedure at a clinic. Sophia knew exactly what that implied. She suddenly looked nervous. Wait, I've never really dated anyone before. You have to be gentle with me. What? I was stunned. You're kidding me? You've really never had a boyfriend? She blushed. My father was very strict. He didn't want me getting involved with anyone. She didn't need to elaborate. Her father had other children, an older son and daughter. The family business would go to the son. She and her sister were assets to be married off, solidifying business alliances. A pristine reputation was non-negotiable for marriage into another powerful family. I didn't particularly care about such customs, but I couldn't deny a thrill of victory. We were the original match, after all, destined to marry eventually. What happened now didn't matter. We spent the entire day at the villa, and the entire next week finalizing our plan. Amidst this, Ryan scheduled the IVF appointment, and my parents insisted I accompany them to avoid any misunderstandings. Outside the operating room, Ryan, a master of drama, couldn't resist another jab. Brother, he whispered, I wanted you here so there are no hard feelings. Don't worry. Even though Sophia and I are getting married and having a baby, I haven't touched a single hair on her head. I'm just borrowing her womb. I didn't let his words get to me. The doctors in the OR were on the Russo payroll. It was all for show. Ryan, however, looked pale and drained after his procedure. I was genuinely worried he might croak before my grand finale. That would be no fun at all. I wanted to tell him to go home and rest, but to maintain the act, I just stood there, my face a mask of silent suffering. When Sophia emerged, I rushed to her side. Are you okay? I asked, helping her up. I'll manage, she whispered, looking exhausted. Witnessing our little tragic drama unfold, Ryan's lips curled into a triumphant smirk. He believed Sophia was now carrying his child. He had no idea I was genuinely concerned for her. Our week at the villa had taken its toll. Content that his legacy was secure, Ryan wheeled himself away, leaving us to our feigned grief. 2 weeks later, Sophia visited the doctor. She came straight to the villa, waving a lab report, her face glowing. "I'm pregnant. In 9 months, you're going to be a father." Hey, keep it down," I quickly corrected her. "That baby is my brother's." She shot me an annoyed look, then threw her arms around me, her voice a playful whine. "It's yours, it's yours. It's just us here, who are you trying to fool?" We both laughed. The plan was more than halfway complete. The rest would be easy. A few days later, Ryan and Sophia were scheduled for their wedding photos. Naturally, my parents made sure I was invited. I went, and when Ryan wasn't looking, I slipped into the dressing room for a few stolen moments with Sophia. During the shoot, Ryan kept glancing at me, that smug grin plastered on his face. I simply kept my lips pressed together, fighting a smile as I savored the lingering taste of Sophia's lipstick. I had to maintain the appearance of a man in agony, watching the love of his life with his most hated rival. A month flew by and soon it was the wedding day. Ryan was to pick up the bride, and as the best man I had to accompany him. Just before we got into the car, he leaned in and whispered, "I can see how much you love her. Don't worry. As soon as she has the baby, I'll give her back to you." The usual provocation. I'd endured it for years. I could handle another 2 hours. He smirked, basking in his perceived victory. I couldn't help but let a small mysterious smile slip out. We were both smiling, but only one of us would be smiling by day's end. And I had a strong feeling someone wasn't just going to stop smiling. Someone was going to drop dead. At the Russo mansion, Sophia's bridesmaids, on her instruction, created a series of playful obstacles for the groom. Ryan's fragile body couldn't handle them, so the bridesmaids suggested I, his brother, step in. The result? I carried Sophia out of her house on my back. I was the one who got into the groom's car with her. The Russo family was delighted. On a wedding day, nobody wanted to see a groom who couldn't even stand. Ryan was deliberately placed in a separate car, trailing behind the main motorcade, a thunderous expression on his face the entire way. But upon arriving at the venue, he was the one on the wedding stage. So what if he was in a wheelchair? He was the one getting married today, not me. Before the ceremony, my parents, in front of all their friends and family, solemnly signed the stock transfer agreement. As I watched $500 million in shares officially move into Sophia's name, I grinned. The real show was about to begin. It was time to exchange rings. Ryan took the ring, held it before Sophia, then paused, deliberately glancing at me with a triumphant look. At that exact moment, the massive screen behind them lit up. A slideshow and video clips appeared. Me and Sophia hugging, laughing, kissing, embracing, even intimate bedroom shots with snippets of conversation about having a baby. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd as they recognized our faces, and the entire venue erupted. "Oh my God, that's the groom's brother." The bride was sleeping with her brother-in-law. The groom just got cheated on at his own wedding. This is insane. Wait, I heard she was originally the brother's fiancée anyway. Something weird happened. The chatter was deafening. Everyone was feasting on the high society drama. The video's audio sealed the deal. Sophia's voice, clear as day, declared, "You're the real father of the baby in my belly. Don't even think about leaving us." The implication was undeniable. She was pregnant and the baby belonged to me, the best man, not the groom. The room exploded into another wave of shocked murmurs. Impossible. How could the baby be Ethan's? Ryan's face was a mask of disbelief. He looked from Sophia to me, his hand trembling as he pointed. You and Sophia. You betrayed me. You had a child behind my back." Sophia's words on the video were undeniable. My parents and grandparents were frozen in their seats, utterly stunned. Sophia's parents, the Russos, were also present. Her mother initially looked mortified, but a quick word from her father seemed to change her perspective. "Well, the baby is Ethan's," he murmured. "That's fine. It's still a Clark. And Ethan is healthy. At least this baby won't be born fatherless." The rest of the Russo family seemed to agree. Sophia's sister Isabella smirked. I think my little sister is brilliant for not having that other one's child. He's on his deathbed and still trying to trap someone with a baby? Disgusting. Besides, Ryan is adopted. How dare he steal his brother's fiancée in the first place? Their conversation wasn't quiet, and their words carried clearly to the stage. Hearing this, Ryan's rage boiled over. You! He was too furious to speak, his eyes locking on me with pure hatred. Ethan, this is all you're doing? He finally choked out, then with a violent spasm, coughed up a huge mouthful of blood. Ryan! My parents and grandparents screamed, rushing onto the stage. After spitting blood, Ryan went limp in his wheelchair, his eyes rolling back as his body convulsed. He was rushed to the hospital. Seeing him like that, Sophia's sister looked a little shaken. Oh God! She muttered to herself, hand on her chest. Was it me? Did I do that? The wedding, of course, was over. I later learned Ryan didn't make it. He died of a massive stroke in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The story blew up online. The wedding video went viral, and the initial consensus was that the bride and brother-in-law had an affair and literally scared the groom to death. The backlash was intense. Within 2 days, our names were everywhere, and we were bombarded with hate and death threats. Sophia and I, meanwhile, were on a Caribbean beach. Seeing my unconcern, she threw her phone at me in frustration. Look at this. Our reputations are ruined back home. Even my sister is getting dragged into it. She hadn't known I planned to play the video. Her intention was to maintain the charade indefinitely. I, however, decided to flip the entire table. I glanced at the phone and shrugged. Just let it play out, I said calmly. My parents predictably called screaming accusations. I blocked their numbers. On the third day, once the online fury peaked, I released my own collection of videos. Secretly recorded footage of my family demanding I give up my fiancé, and clips of Ryan's numerous provocations and taunts. Overnight, the public narrative flipped 180 degrees. WTF is this story? They forced their biological son to give his fiancée to the adopted one? Is that even legal? This family is completely unhinged. You can tell the adopted son has been bullying the real son for years. Oh my God, the guy was dying, and his last wish was to impregnate his brother's fiancée? That's sick. The parents and grandparents are just as bad. No wonder the son and fiancée got together in secret. Good for them. Okay, plot twist. I take back everything I said. Everyone should boycott Clark Holdings. The story became a runaway train. The initial frenzy ensured the reversal was equally powerful and impossible to contain, aided, of course, by the bot farms I'd hired to amplify the new narrative. The company's reputation plummeted. The stock dropped 5 points by closing bell. That's when I called my father. I offered to make the PR nightmare disappear. My price, the 30% of company stock they controlled, another cool $500 million. He initially refused, calling me a thankless wolf. I hung up and paid for another wave of online attacks. The next day, my mother called, sobbing. My father and grandfather had both been hospitalized due to stress. My grandmother had died of a heart attack that night, and my father was in a coma. With the family on the verge of collapse, my mother had no choice but to agree to my terms, signing over the majority of their shares to me. I had no feelings left for them. News of my grandmother's death and my father's coma stirred nothing within me. I hung up the phone, turned to Sophia and grinned. Let's go home. Soon after, I took over Clark Holdings. Sophia and I got married. I sent her sister Isabella a very generous thank you check. My plan had always been to provoke Ryan into a fatal rage. His weak body was simply too fragile for that kind of shock. My new sister-in-law's scathing commentary had been the perfect assist. The following year, Sophia gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. I named him Julian Russo. He took his mother's last name, not mine. I wanted no part of the Clark DNA in him, lest he inherit their twisted sense of loyalty, and we end up with another generation of a favored son tormenting the rightful one. We never had a second child. When my grandfather learned the heir to the Clark fortune had been given the Russo name, he had a stroke and died. My father was eventually declared brain dead. The doctors asked if we wanted to pull the plug. Pulled it. My mother, left alone and ostracized by me, couldn't handle the succession of blows. She jumped from the roof of her penthouse. They were all gone. Finally, the whole family was reunited with their precious adopted son. Perfect.